Ellis Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, Yan. Wonderful. As you see on your screen, your dial, however you are choosing to join me today, I don't know why you are. I mean, unless you are here to see my guest, because I know you're not here to see me. I just know that's definitely not a thing. Death Valley. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have been watching one good horror film after another, and this one was no exception. I liked it from start to finish. I thought the attention to detail, you could even say there's two twist endings to the film. I just had such a good time. So, mercenaries with nothing to lose are hired to rescue a bioengineer imprisoned in a Cold War bunker. Upon entering the ominous facility, they find themselves in a fight for their lives when they come under attack from an unknown and deadly creature. And also, not in that little synopsis, a militia is trying to capture the engineer as well. So there is a lot going on, and most of it is negative. But starring Jeremy Ninaber, Ethan Mitchell, Kristen Caster, Matthew Ninaber, Matt Dashew, said like cashew. I'm so glad that I got that figured out beforehand, because I was searching to see like the proper way to say his name, and I was failing left and right. Also, Jacqueline Ninaber, Jonah Fortin, which I believe, boy, he was goddamn scary. Jeff Waters, another Ninaber, Mike Ninaber. Cinematography by Brent Tremaine, music by Sean Crowley, and so we actually have a return guest today, which is awesome. Thing number one, last time I talked to him, he was in a suit. He was in a suit in one of my favorite films from last year. So normally, I'll just tell you, I can't stand doing this show unless I have someone interesting to talk to, and I'm so glad that he decided to come back on, because I thought what I saw in Death Valley, we went from wearing a suit to, you are a man of many talents now, sir. I'm looking at the credits,
Thank you.
I have set design and construction. I have stunts. You were the editor. You did the visual effects. You were the goddamn monster. And, oh, by the way, you wrote and directed the film. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the audience, all the way from Canada, Matthew Ninaber, how are we doing today, sir?
Doing really good. Glad to be here. Thank you.
So let's just hit the ground running here. I gotta know, where did this idea come from? Like, have you been sitting on it for a while?
I was sitting on Death Valley for a while. Not like I liked the idea after PG, after seeing what they could do with monsters. I put that kind of in the tool bag. I'm like, I want to make a monster movie. I like action. And then when COVID hit, I was like, I have nothing better to do. Why not make a movie? So one of the reasons I did everything is kind of because COVID was happening and there was no other option. Like in Canada, we've been in lockdown for, it seems like ever. We have all these crazy rules. You can only have 10 people on set or just nonsense. So Death Valley was my rage machine against COVID. With my small bubble, we just decided to make a monster action film, and with all the confines of doing it during COVID. So it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun. All our anger towards the virus got put into that movie, and we had a great time. It was really good. So yeah.
So where did the idea kind of come from? Was it just a kind of a love for monster movies? Was there something in mind? I don't know, something John Carpenter did.
Yeah, I always, when I was younger, someone got me to read the Book of Enoch, which was a book that wasn't originally put into the Bible. It was like a forbidden book. And it changes a lot of the narratives in the Bible, and it starts talking about like angels coming down and having like intercourse with the daughters of Adam, and then they had Nephilim, and then you go into the lore of that, and that's where like Zeus and all these gods came from. Like it's crazy. So I'm like, there's only a snippet of it in that book, but I wanted to find a way to make a movie around this Nephilim idea. And then obviously boring from movies that I love. Like I really wanted to do a buddy cop movie meets Alien, Doom kind of feel. So like that's that's kind of the inspirations that I took from it, and then yeah, we just kind of went for it.
Yeah, I actually thought Jeremy and Ethan worked off of each other really well. In fact, if we didn't have some of those scenes of humor between them, this film would have been really bleak, especially by the and we're not gonna spoil the ending for the audience, but by the time
Yeah,
we get to the ending, and I will say to the audience, say, one twist and then I would say kind of a shocking ending. But if we didn't have like I said, Jeremy and Ethan bouncing off of each other, I'd have been like, man, this is dark. This is super dark, and there's not very,
yeah,
especially
yeah.
after you see the twist. If we didn't have those sequences, I'd be like, oh man, well now I already hate society as as a
Uh,
whole as it is, so I don't know if I could carry on. But so
yeah, yeah.
something I found super interesting, man, was this seemed like a family affair. Like you got everybody, and I think I counted anywhere from five to
Yeah,
seven.
it's like I said, in Canada during COVID, this is when we filmed it. So there were certain rules that we had to work with. And yeah, you're right. Like my wife produced it. My brother is the lead in it. I got my other brother to be one of the bad guys. Like it was a tight knit group. And a lot of that was just because those were the rules at the time. That's who we had to work with. But it was a lot of fun. So it was my family and then my best friends making a movie every weekend, and that was so much fun. Like my boys, I have building all the sets. They're painting it with me. They're 7, 6,
Oh, dude,
5,
that's
and
so
they're out
awesome.
there painting, cutting foam, and like making the walls and like stuff for caves and like. So yeah, this is a family movie and my buddies, and it was like Monday to Friday. I'd build the sets, do rehearsals, and then on the weekend everyone gets together and we'd film, and then we just did that through the pandemic. So a lot of the stuff in the winter we filmed inside. The only like location we went to, we had a little bit of money once we started making stuff and showing people. We wanted to make the world a little bit bigger. So that opening scene is actually filmed in a nuclear fallout shelter in Ottawa, and that was
Oh,
the only
really?
set that wasn't built. That's the only thing that's not built in that garage. So my brother's house is like
Wow.
five houses down from me. So like I'm walking in my monster suit down my neighborhood to his garage, and it's just like people thought we are crazy making this movie. But yeah, the only location that we didn't build that was indoors was that opening scene and the one thing that they climb out of. And then the rest is just moving sets around. So when you watch the movie from that point of view, it is amazing. Like the morgue, I'm like, I don't know how to build a morgue, going to Home Depot and finding things, and it's just like it was just yeah, everything's built from scratch. And best part is after PG, they're throwing the set out, and I was like, can I take it? And I took the set from the councilman where they're sitting in PG, where all the head figures are talking. I took all those boards and all that, and that became the root, the base of my set. And I was just recycling stuff. The tunnel scenes were filmed in my living room. And the tunnels actually go around
Shut
my
up.
couch.
Shut up.
Yeah, and so I used my boys. My boys would sit in the tunnels, and I'd light it with them playing with their friends. And I'm like, okay, I need more lights in here. And the one tunnel that you see the lights at the top, those are parfait cups I got from Walmart. I put some oil and stuff in them, and then I put lights on top, and then got the flickering because I was like, oh yeah, tunnels are really dark. They need lights in it. So much of this was a learning experience for me, just grabbing stuff from Walmart, Home Depot. My wife's thinking I'm crazy because I'm taking over the living room, and it's truly like it's yeah. When you say it's a family thing, yeah, I almost get emotional. My family put up with me as I made this movie, but this was the thing that kept me sane during this time. And you talk about how the movie's dark. The movie is dark, and the world's kind of dark. But the things that make the world better right now are, your friends and the people. That's kind of my take on it. Is like, Ethan and Jeremy kind of represent what got me through COVID. It was just like I had some solid people that we could joke with, that we could be friends with, that like we could keep living, and making this movie was just so much of a joy, except putting that monster suit on and trying to direct at the same time. Oh, that was a nightmare. That was straight up.
I just
Those
had this
things said.
the visual. I had the visual of you, kind of your shoulder. You're wearing the monster suit. Your shoulders are kind of slumped over, and you're walking to your brother's house, just kind of like dragging your gear.
Yeah,
It's just so funny.
Yeah.
And so I guess to that point, I mean, I would assume that it was a lot easier to put the suit on now than it was the first time around with Psycho Gorman, because I know when you and I talked, you were like, man, there was moments where I was like, this is brutal.
And being more prepared for it and knowing what's up. I think the big thing is if you're doing any monster stuff, you can't have anything else going on in your life. Like that day that you get in the suit, you got to throw your phone away. You can't talk because any other stress just gets like built up. Like I don't know how to describe that. You really have to prepare to get into that suit. At least for me. Like for me, the once that mask goes on and once they seal it all in, it's just like, whew, okay. I got 12 hours. Let's go. So yeah, this time was better, and the same team put me into PG, put me into this. So I really appreciate them. Like Chris and Audrey are just fantastic people. Chris actually has a movie that he's directing in Violent Nature that is going to be out on Shudder next year. So he's doing amazing stuff as well. So having him on set and having just a good team of people really to take care of you and also make fun of you to get you through the tough times is just great. So.
I know you said Audrey and Chris, I believe. So were they the ones that did the creature effects and makeup as well? So
Steve, who's the director of PG, he made me our Nephilim, and he was on his way out. I think he was working on Day of the Dead or Umbrella Academy. He's like, I have 2 weeks to make you a monster. I'm going to crush this out real quick, So he crushed out this amazing sculpture. I was like, I love this. I love it. And then he's really good friends with Chris Nash and his wife, Audrey, and they agreed to come on to put me into the makeup. And Chris and Steve actually jump back and forth. Like Steve will help Chris on his movies when Chris is directing, and Chris will help Steve on his movies when he's directing. So they have a really cool dynamic. So being able to borrow from that was like a big deal. And they're doing really cool stuff. So when it comes to practical effects, like in the monster world, I really lean on them because they are just, in my opinion, just gods. And it's like, how can I learn and grow? So yeah, really good.
So was that all Steve's idea and design, or did you say, hey, this is kind of the look that I want to go for?
So Steve always asks, like, do you have a sketch? Do you have an idea? Again, he has 2 weeks. He didn't have a lot of time to go at this. I'm like, I just want it to look like, so the whole idea is Nephilim is not an image of God. So we're made in the image of God. So let's take away the eyes, let's take away the ears, let's take away the nose. I'm like, I just want a big mouth because I'm like, the mouth is just so important and we can't lose that. So I'm like, take away everything and just give me something just like that's huge. And he's like, done. And that's what he gave me. So it kind of looks like a big brain for the mouth. And the way he designed the mouth is so cool because there's actually a strap right here, and then the teeth come up and out. So like when you open your mouth, you can really, because I was going to digitally open it, but we didn't have to do any digital effects in this movie, which was so important to me. Because I don't know if you just watched Spider-Man like 1 again, and it's just like I remember this movie being so amazing. I'm like, this is not aged well. Like I love Tobey Maguire, but oh my goodness, this did not age well. And so I really wanted something that I could just look back on. I'm like, yeah, it's all shot. There's no like everything. Like you jump off the cliff, they go the explosions, like. Some people are like, those aren't like what real explosions look like. I'm like, those are real explosions. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, there's no CG in this movie, like other than some muzzle flashes. But like, like we throw people around, like they get pretty roughed up. I feel sorry for my brother because we put him through his paces. So.
I remember that was definitely in my notes where I had written down because I would assume that when they're running through the woods there, when the militia first is alerted of their position, I gotta think that's in top 5 one of the harder scenes that you had to shoot. And when I was watching it, I'm like, there's no CG right now, and it's so funny that you bring that up. Me and my buddy were just talking yesterday. We brought up Rob Zombie's Three from Hell. I don't know if you've seen that one
I haven't
yet.
seen it.
So,
No.
but what we were talking about is, can you use CG for something, Marvel-esque, DC-esque, ad nauseum? Of course you can. But we were talking about Three from Hell, and with a horror film, I think it not only is a disservice, but like it hurts the film so much when you have especially for someone like Rob Zombie, who everybody's like a gore king or whatever, and you have these CG squibs essentially, and I'm just sitting here going like, this, well, I don't know if the movie would have been good or not, but the impact that it had, I mean, it made me dislike it significantly more, which is why I'm curious to see where you go from here, because this was like your first, right? Like in terms of doing everything that you did, this was your first, right?
Yeah, like I've done other films, and the way I describe it to people is like I always wanted to act, and getting roles as an actor is very difficult. But before acting, I wanted to create. So I've done other movies, but it's more so from a place of I haven't known what I'm doing. Like my first film, I didn't even know what a clapboard was. So it's very much I want to just get in there and figure it out. I love movie making. I love it. I really do. And I'm kind of like reverse engineering things. So getting on set and acting is my schooling. Like getting on set and watching how people do stuff. It's like I am watching like a hawk. And sometimes it intimidates people because I'm staring them down and I have to like, no, I'm just really excited right now. Like you guys are doing cool stuff. For me though, I don't like when we go digital. Like I'm still waiting to see the new Resident Evil, but I just like I'm gonna watch it. I'll probably enjoy it, but at the same time, I just want to feel the monster, and that's something that's so important to me. That when things are digital, for me, I don't feel like it's real. I don't feel like it's happening, and I think that's a disservice. So where I want to grow is like I'm really interested in the practical world. I'm interested in going. Well, everyone's like, what can we do CG? I'm interested in going the other way. I'm like, what can we actually shoot in camera? And because every CG artist promises the world, but then you get busy and then it's like, it is what it is. And then timelines, like, by the time we got into post, they're like, you have 2 weeks to score this film. And I'm like, 2 weeks to score this film is nuts. Like 2 weeks is just bonkers to score a film. And
I just want to tell you, the score in this film, amazing.
I
almost feel like yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they did a great job. So Sean, Tony, and Kevin. It was a trio that did it, and they saved me. Like I was like, guys, save my film. Like I need music in 2 weeks. Like you said we had a month and a half. I'm like, yeah, but now they're saying this, and once you get distribution involved, everyone wants everything now, and then they're gonna wait. So they were like, we're every day, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., they're sending me stuff. And I'm like, I think so. Yeah, this is, and then crying. Like, I think it's good. And it's like, you're making a monster movie and just bawling so much because you're so tired. But they did a really good job. And they did a good job of like putting themes in. And I thought, yeah, like I'm very proud. Again, like this is my buddies and I hanging out on the weekends, crushing out a film. And the end product is so much better than I ever hoped for. And it's a way of filming I want to get into. I want to keep this. I want to keep it that it's like, it's hanging out. Like I think the story of making the film is just as exciting as the film itself, because we learned so much and so many YouTube videos. And just, again, this is my first time like building sets. I'm like, let's go. Let's make a bunker. And I have a construction background. But yeah, it's like people keep saying, "Oh, you should do it digitally." I'm like, I don't know, maybe for a set extension, like, but I think the real world should be there, and I think that's what makes it magical. So I don't know, that's me.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, I almost don't believe you. Like if I hadn't talked to you prior and I didn't know of your work prior, and you were just like, "Oh yeah, this is my first time," I'd be like, "You're full of shit." You're there's no way.
Yeah, there is transference that I did before this. You know what I mean? And it did get sold internationally, but again, that's not like I live in Mennonite town, and this is something I need to explain to people. Like I'm out in the country in the boonies. There's no film industry around me. Like I got horse and buggies going by my house. So when you see a horse and buggy going by, and then you see a monster creature on a skateboard, it's just like, where are you? And I'm like, this is a movie. I don't know what movie this is, but this is a movie. Yeah, like I live in a farmhouse. You can see, like I'm sitting right in front of my closet. Like it's just, it's not in. I'm not in a big city or something like that. So it's very much like we are trying to figure out how to make movies because we love them so much, and like that's what I do. I just watch movies. I'm like, I want to be part of this, and yeah, so we're just grinding it out in Conestoga. So
And it's nice because, and I know this is very hack and boring to say, but because of where technology has come, like we're able to do this now. We're able to step outside of our house
yeah,
and, grab a camera and do whatever, which is nice because, even as early as 10, 15 years ago, you just, it wasn't that
it
easy
wasn't.
now.
Yeah,
So,
totally. And you don't even have to have the nicest equipment. Like our camera was like 12 years old that we filmed this on, and but it's still, I think it still looks great. And we just took time and figured stuff out. And yeah, big thing I say to people who want to make films is like, man, you can go make them. Like, get your friends together and start crushing it out because you can do it now. Which is just, it is scary because there's so much content, but it's also on my side so and thrilling because like, man, you can do whatever. Like, you can tell your stories. You can sit down. I can sit down. I can write something. I can go shoot it, and I can get it on the shutter. And some people have really enjoyed it. There's obviously people who are not going to like it. It's actually a very tough genre to be in because you get some like ultra like critical people. I'm like, wow, you're intense.
I bash the
Like,
I bash the horror crowd almost monthly. I bash the horror crowd for
I
being the way that they are.
I just like this is intense, guys. Like, wow, like I don't know if I would ever talk to somebody like this. I think my favorite was like, oh, that guy must have slept with the producer. I'm like, well, it's my brother, and I'm the producer, so I don't think it works that way, guys. I don't think so. So, but it's
Oh.
good. It's good, and it's like you take it in stride, you joke, and like I love people that love the film, man. It's a fun flick. Like, it's a good time.
I want to kind of go back there a little bit, and I only asked this because of
Yeah,
how many hats you were wearing in this. So Brent Tremaine did the cinematography, and you tell me
yeah.
things like you're shooting in your hallways and around your couch and stuff like that. How much, because you were wearing all the hats that you were, how much impact did you also have on that of the cinematography? It being your
Brent,
home and the look and a 12-year camera.
yeah. So, so Brent and I are really good buds. I love that guy. Yeah, I couldn't make a movie without him because like it's hard. I hate the credits. The credits are such a dumb thing. I get why we have to do them, and whatever. Brent and I, we kind of swap hats, and there's times that I'm holding the camera and filming. There's times that he's holding it. Sometimes we take turns storyboarding what the scene is going to be, or shooting the scene and giving each other timed work. But he also gives me like feedback on directing, and like it is a lot of crossover, and he brings a lot of expertise that I don't know the technical stuff. Whereas like sometimes I'll do a pre-light for a scene, like the one scene with when we first see the monster in the storage room. So like I built that set, and then I started putting the lights around. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. I want to have like no light in the middle of the room, and then I want to have the light on the walls, but I want it blinking so that when we see the monster, it's just the outline real quick. Like it's just you see it, but then it's gone. You see it, and then it's gone. And he's like, "Oh, that's great." So like I had that base in there, but then he comes in and then he starts adding like these little practical lights that I didn't even think about. And then he brought this ice light. He's like, "We're just going to cut the monster just so that it always just has this little light on it, so that even though we lose it, it's still just a little bit there." So that's kind of how we bounce back and forth. For the outdoor action scenes, I'm like, "You storyboard and shoot this sequence. I'm going to storyboard and shoot this sequence." And I think if we do that, the shots are going to look dynamic enough that it's not looking like repetition. Because I'm like, we don't have a lot of times and we have to crush it. So I feel like we're both really good cinematographers. Let's bounce. So he had that amazing shot that Ethan, when he's asleep and it comes down the tree, that shot, like that was so we like, who got the shot of the day? I'm like, you got shot of the day, man. You completely crushed me. Like that shot was gold. But then I was the one that set up the cable cam that did the rip with my brother running and all the explosions going off and then like him landing. I'm like, so that was the next. I'm like, that's mine, buddy. Like that's shit. So it's great because I want like it's a friendly competition between us where it's just like who's going to get the better shot. And so we take turns throughout the day, and you get tired holding the camera. And also, like, there's some scenes I'm just like, man, I'm not explaining this well, like the tunnel stuff. Can I just hold the camera and just get them to walk around the corner? And can I just do this? Because me trying to like verbalize this is not working. Now, when I'm in the monster suit, it's all Brent. I have no idea. Like the eyes are closed. Like the one suit doesn't even have eyes in it. And I'm like, I have no idea. Like I'm literally swearing. I'm like, mother, I don't know what's going on. I'm not angry. I'm just confused. I can't tell where I'm going. I'm walking into walls. This monster sucks. You get his ass kicked. It's just like, so the monster days were just, that was Jeremy, my brother. So Jeremy would step up and help co-direct those days. And then Brent, and they would just take us to the promised land. But man, it's like, yeah, so that's the thing. It's just like where do you put the credits? Because it's such a small team. Like there's times that everyone is doing something. That's what I mean. It's just a bunch of guys hanging out. We're all just doing what we need to do. Like Jeremy's there helping me build the sets, and then all of a sudden it's 2 hours until we start filming. And and then like another day, like I don't even think Brent went. He wanted to light the whole scene before we started, so we just get going. He didn't go home. He started Friday night, and then I get in there at 7 a.m. Saturday. I'm like, you didn't go to bed, did you? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, no, you didn't. I see it in your eyes. We're fucked today. Like, but what he did was so good, and the pre-light was so nice, and like, yeah, like this whole movie was lit with 2 Kino lights and an ice light. That's basically the lights of the movie, and a couple practicals, which is just
that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's just we figured out what we could do, and then we just like leaned into our weaknesses. And so I'm getting excited. You're taking me down memory train. I haven't thought about it for a while. So
I was just thinking off the top of my head, you may have done something that's never been done before. Has there ever been someone that's been in a full body suit and wrote and directed a film? I don't know. I can't think of any.
I don't think there's anyone that dumb. I don't think there's anyone that dumb. Yeah. So there's the award. Give it to me. Most stupid motherfucker. No.
Okay. All right.
God.
So let's kind of we'll wind it we'll wind it down here. One of the questions I did that's just for me. I don't really give a shit about the audience. What was I've seen the movie now 2.5 times. What was one of the harder sequences for you to put together, or one that you were frustrated and then the
one that actually it's not frustrated, it scared me. Was the rapid scene. We had a flood, and I was like, Jeremy, what if you guys jump off a cliff and you go into rapids? So where the rapid scene was is just a stream. It's just a little brook. Like it comes up to your like pinky toe. It's not big, but when the rain comes, it turns into rapids. And he's just like, I think that would look cool. I'm like, I think it would look cool too. I can't ask anyone to go into that. Like that's not fair. So no other actor, like Ethan is on the shore, but he doesn't go into it. We actually tie a rope, a rig around my brother, wrapped it around a tree, put him like in all flotation device, and he goes out into rapids. And the whole time, I'm like, am I a fucking idiot? Am I going to kill my brother over a fucking movie? And so that was the most scariest emotional thing I did. And like I went out into the water, I'm like, okay, this is dangerous, but I feel like the mechanics of this all make sense, and we're good. And the rope was good, he's good. I'm like, we have people to get him like this, we're fine. And he's like so buoyant, he can't. In fact, he's trying to pull himself under when he's going down the river because he's like literally floating on top of it. So we did that scene, and I'm so happy because I'm like, I wanted this movie to be like man against everything, and the fact that we got like that raging river scene, the jumping off the cliff. We did that as kids, I don't know how many times. So I wasn't afraid of the cliff thing. I'm like, I've done that since I was 12. The cliff's just down the street from my house. Everything's filmed like within 15 minutes of my house. That's the other thing. But that rapid scene, that was just like, I wasn't worried about the explosions. I wasn't worried about any of those other things because we tested it, we figured it out, we did a lot of research. But the rapids was just something that we had rainfall that we've never had before. And I'm like, this is an opportunity to see something, but this is also very dangerous. And just like putting the harness on my brother and sending him out. And then after we did his scene, a whole 50-foot tree came down the river. Like, just like, we're just like, oh my gosh, we're done. We're done. We're not doing it anymore. We got what we needed. Let's move on. And yeah.
Holy cow, man. Holy cow.
Scary. Yeah.
What? One last question for you before I get
Yes.
you out of here. And again, this is another selfish one because I want to know because right now you're giving me Robert Rodriguez vibes, man. You are.
He's my hero.
I mean,
he got me into movies.
Same.
That's who got me into movies. I read his book as a kid, and I was like, "Fuck! If he can do it, I can do it." He's my.
What was
idol.
it called? Rebel without a. What was it?
Rebel Without a Crew.
Yes, I have that somewhere in here.
It sits by my nightstand. It does. I'm like, without a word of a lie.
That is so awesome. I mean, he's the reason why I got into writing and doing what I do, just because I was like, man, if he can do all the things that he's doing, or in this particular case, not to blow smoke, sir, if you are doing all the things that you're doing, I could probably contribute somewhere. I could probably, I could probably do something. That's pretty good. But
so funny. That's so funny.
So
hey, I look at what he did. I love his story. He goes into a medical testing facility. You know what I mean? And like comes up with his freaking monster of a script and just crushes it. I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, I have no excuse. I can make my movie in Mennonite Town, Conestoga, and let's go. And like there's tears and like it's rough, it's hard, it's like going to battle, but man, you can do it. And that's a big thing I say to people. It's just like, go tell your story. Like, especially people who are critical of movies, I'm like, get out there, man, show me better. Like, I'm doing this by myself. What do you got? Let's go. So
yeah. Some of us critics, I don't refer to myself as a critic, but I know that, you know, given what my show is, you could make the argument, but I don't believe that. I think that I just fucking love movies and I like talking about them.
I love movies.
So that's why we're here. So before I send you off, I just wanted you to know a couple things. I thought your movie was really strong, man. I thought the cast was not only was the cast good, but I thought the chemistry was good. I think that sometimes that is something that really can hurt the film if you aren't having the chemistry that you want. I thought the creature effects were great. Obviously, to me, that's the go-to. I'm same as you. I'm a huge practical effects guy. I like the story. I like the double twist ending. I love the creature's backstory, which you took time to flesh out and tell us. Which, you know, sometimes, you know, it's just like one sentence, and then it's just like, okay, I guess we have to commit to the monster movie. I thought the score was great, and Matt, I had a good time, and I'm so appreciative for you to come back on the show.
Thank you.
I hope we can do it again. Because now I'm a huge fan, man. Well, I was a fan for Psycho Gorman, but now that I see what you're capable of, like I'm in for the long haul. I'm going to continue to bother you.
Good. Well, I'm sure PG, the sequel, will be coming out sometime in the near future. So, but yeah. I can't wait to be back.
You got a sequel on your hands, sir. Where's Death Valley 2? Because it's out in the open.
yeah, it could be. There's a lot of fun you can have with it. So, yeah.
All right, my friend. Cool. Well, you take it easy. I hope to talk to you soon. And like I said, we're 2 for 2. I had a blast. This was effortless, man.
Good. Thanks so much.
Not a
Talk
problem.
To you later.
All right, buddy.
All right,
we're going to get Matthew out of here. So you can see this on Shudder right now. You have no excuse. Shudder is $5 a month. $5 a month. Okay, there's no excuse, especially if you're a horror fan. I don't know why you don't have the app already. So, check it out. I thought Death Valley was really good, and in terms of this being his first feature, I promise you, as someone who at least thinks that they know a thing or two about film, Matt is here to stay. I promise you that. Matt is here to stay. So, and like I told him when he was on, I'm in for the long haul. Fan for life now, so. All right. Woo. Ellis Cinema Death Valley on Shudder right now. Shudder. So many shows around the corner. Not particularly happy about it. But what are you going to do? Alright, guys, take it easy.
Recording stopped.